Hello and welcome to Camp Xbox. Today, I'm diving into a piece of Xbox history with this review of Star Wars Obi-Wan. This Xbox exclusive was released on December 19th, 2001, just a month after the launch of the console. The Xbox was full of Star Wars games, but this one was released only on the Xbox without any PC release, setting it apart from classics like Knights of the Old Republic. Sporting a distinct green aesthetic on its cover, it's a game that catches the eye of any Star Wars and Xbox fan. However, it's important to know that this game has not enjoyed the best reputation, especially among critics, with many reviews falling into the mixed range at best. But today, I'm delving into it to share my recent playthrough experience. Special thanks to Marie Vijay and Loco Gaming Rocker 5014 for recommending this title. So without further ado, let's get right into Star Wars Obi-Wan. This game arrived at the peak of Star Wars prequel fever, with The Phantom Menace becoming a huge hit in 1999 and Attack of the Clones just right around the corner in 2002. I'm sure Star Wars fans were excited for this game because it served as a glimpse into the plot before and during The Phantom Menace, functioning as both a prequel and an interquel, meaning we see plot elements that happen during the movie, but they are done off-screen. In this game, we step into the shoes of the titular character, offering us a unique backstage pass to the events leading up to the movie's action. It's a chance to explore iconic locations like Coruscant and all-new planets like Obradon, places where many rescue missions unfold. All of these adventures culminate in the movie's starting point, from the negotiations with the Trade Federation to the epic battles on Naboo. While much of this is familiar to fans of The Phantom Menace, the game weaves in extra between the lines moments, like Obi-Wan's rescue of the Queen on Tatooine, which was not a part of the movie. It does an excellent job of providing additional behind-the-scenes context to enrich the movie's plot and the Star Wars universe. Regardless of one's opinions on the movie, and I'll admit it's not my personal favorite, there's a solid foundation to work with, and it translates well into a video game. I appreciate the opportunity to explore the movie's sets and planets in greater detail. It creates a truly grand Star Wars adventure where you can relive iconic Star Wars moments like the thrilling battle with Darth Maul, and that's a spectacle in itself. For the most part, it's an enjoyable journey, and I always value good world building. With Obi-Wan, we're treated to a more comprehensive take on the movie's plot. If you're a Star Wars fan, it's a delightful story worth exploring simply because it adds depth to the movie's storyline. Obi-Wan has a third-person view from above your character. What sets this game apart is the innovative control scheme for the time when it comes to wielding a lightsaber. The right stick of the controller is your key to controlling lightsaber movements. You'll find that moving the stick to the left results in a swing to the left, and so on. This control method adds depth to lightsaber battles, making them feel more like strategic sword fights, especially when facing off against Sith and other Jedi. It's an intuitive approach that turns every hit into a calculated move, rather than just mashing a button and hoping for the best. This approach takes you closer to the feeling of wielding a lightsaber like a Jedi, and it offers a more authentic and immersive experience that feels great to play. The lightsaber control is paired with a surprisingly deep selection of force powers, making you feel like a true Jedi. You'll have access to classic moves like force pushing and pulling, along with some unique abilities like slowing down time to incorporate into your fights. All of your force moves are conveniently mapped to the buttons, making it easy to seamlessly integrate them into your combat style. The game even rewards you after each level for using a varied playstyle and combines your powers with your lightsaber. This is not only rewarding, but also adds an enjoyable layer of strategy to the gameplay. However, there is one aspect that can be a bit rough, and that's the camera. It remains fixed behind your character as you move, and since the lightsaber control is tied to your right stick, you can't adjust the camera with it. While it's manageable in single-level combat arenas, it becomes a challenge in later parts of the game where you encounter platforming levels. These levels require precise jumps and falls, and messing with the camera and its limitations can make some of the platforming segments frustrating to navigate. Despite the camera issues, Obi-Wan shines as a fast-paced action game, especially for an early Star Wars lightsaber platformer. The level design is intricate, offering varied experiences throughout the entire game. Each level presents something unique, enhancing the overall gameplay. One standout moment is the section in the city of Naboo featuring platforms over water and winding city streets that create a sense of tension in combat with how closed off it can be. As you progress, you'll explore a palace with locked hallways, adding a puzzle element to the navigation. It's a faithful representation of elements from The Phantom Menace, thoughtfully adapted for a video game. The game effectively utilizes Jedi jumps, and while the camera can be problematic, the platforming segments remain engaging. Between levels, you'll have the opportunity to engage in combat against various Jedi opponents, kind of like boss battles. This component feels like a prototype for a Star Wars fighting game and offers a fresh addition to the gameplay. It's not my personal favorite aspect, but it's a welcome addition and it adds variety. You can even enjoy this style of gameplay in multiplayer, making it potentially enjoyable to anybody who wants to spend a few hours with friends in a Star Wars game. While I've highlighted many aspects of Obi-Wan that I appreciate, I must say that the game's graphics are a major letdown. Given that it was released during the launch window of the original Xbox, there were many other games pushing the console's visual capabilities, and this game doesn't appear to have attempted the same. I'm one of those who firmly believe that gameplay trumps graphics, but there's no denying that graphics still play a crucial role in enjoyment of a game. They don't need to be groundbreaking, but in this case, they fall completely short, taking you out of the experience. The character models, for instance, look downright awful. Characters like Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon-Jin appear as blob-like figures. They look like something out of a previous generation console title. Unfortunately, this lack of detail extends to all of the characters, creating a rather off-putting experience. It feels like minimal effort was put into making them even remotely accurate, which is disappointing considering the expectations that come with a Star Wars game of this generation. However, there are some bright spots when it comes to the game's graphics. Certain levels stay true to the style of the movie. Naboo, for example, looks excellent with impressive architectural details. The game shines when it has interiors to work with, displaying striking art design. Yet there are levels that fall short in terms of visuals, mainly the desert and swamp levels. The swamp level in particular is plagued by an overwhelming green hue and dense fog that makes everything nearly invisible. These levels become tedious due to their visual aesthetics. Even in the visually pleasing levels though, the shadows are poorly executed and frequently glitch out. All in all, it's not a visually striking game, and I can't help but wish more attention had been given to certain elements to make it stand out. The graphics didn't have to be perfect, but these are just poorly done. When it comes to audio in this game, there's one notable aspect that falls short, and that's the voice acting. While it's understandable that not all of the actors can reprise their roles in video game adaptations, one would hope that the voice acting would at least come close to capturing the essence of the original characters. Unfortunately, in this game, Obi-Wan's voice sounds like a budget imitation of Ewan McGregor. The attempt is off, and it often feels more like mockery than a genuine portrayal. Just as an interesting side fact, the voice actor for Obi-Wan in this game was the guy who portrayed Sebulba in The Phantom Menace, and I think that's kind of funny. But the same issue persists with Qui-Gon-Jin, whose voice appears to be a cheap impression of Liam Neeson that, in my opinion, doesn't even hit the mark of the character. I would have greatly appreciated a more authentic representation of these beloved characters because ideally, you want to become fully immersed in the Star Wars universe. Instead, the subpar voice acting tends to pull you out of the immersion. However, the actual music in the game is a different story. It draws from John Williams' awesome score for The Phantom Menace. The iconic themes and melodies are instantly recognizable, and they never cease to be a joy to hear. The same goes for the lightsaber sounds and general audio effects, all of which work exceptionally well and effectively support the game's world. In this regard, the audio does an excellent job of creating a true Star Wars atmosphere. It's just the voice acting audio is the largest issue here. In retrospect, Star Wars Obi-Wan has garnered its fair share of criticism, and I can understand some of the reasons why. The voice acting leaves much to be desired, and the graphics are notably lackluster. However, I found myself thoroughly enjoying this game. From a gameplay perspective, the use of force powers and lightsaber combat is undeniably fun. There's a great sense of satisfaction in leaping around, manipulating objects, and engaging in lightsaber duels. Despite occasional frustrations with the camera, the game manages to offer enjoyable platforming segments and captivating level exploration. While I wouldn't proclaim it as the best Star Wars game on the console, I also wouldn't call it an extraordinary gaming experience. I will say that giving this one a try will result in a fun time. It's a game that's both enjoyable and well executed gameplay-wise, and that always holds value in my book. It may have its flaws, but there's enough fun to be had here that I think it's worth a recommendation. And on my original Xbox ranking list, Obi-Wan goes about mid-tier at number 45. I think I'd rather play it over Madden 2002, but I think the Haunted Mansion is a more consistent game all around. But that wraps it up for today. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to leave a like, also subscribe, it helps out the channel, and you can keep up with the retro Xbox content. Comment below if you have any memories with this game, love it or hate it, I would love to hear from you. And a very special shout out to my YouTube channel members. Thank you very much for the support, and I'll see you here next time at Camp Xbox.